Ah, from the moment you opened your eyes in this world, something inside you was already different. Not wrong, not broken, just different. And that difference, it made people uncomfortable. You didn't walk the way they walked. You didn't talk like they talked. You questioned everything they told you to accept. They wanted obedience. You offered curiosity. They wanted silence. You gave them rebellion. Not because you wanted war, but because your spirit refused to be chained. From your earliest moments, you felt it deep in your bones. This world was not built for someone like you. It was built to tame people like you, to shape you into something softer, quieter, easier to explain. But you refused to shrink. They tried to label you: misunderstood, troublemaker, overthinker, too intense, too deep, too emotional. You heard it all, again and again, and with every label they stuck to your soul. They tried to bury the real you underneath a pile of lies. But even in silence, your truth screamed. Even when you smiled, your soul wept. Because how do you explain a wildfire to people who have only known candles? How do you translate thunder to people who only believe in whispers? You weren't made to fit into their tiny definitions. You were made to explode beyond their comprehension. And so you learned to hold it in. You smiled when it hurt. You nodded when you wanted to scream. You became a ghost in your own story, pretending to be something they could finally understand. But the pain of hiding, oh, that pain, it changed you. It taught you how to speak with your silence, how to rebel with your stillness. It became your language, a language only the lost, the wild, the unbreakable would ever recognize. You were never supposed to be simple. You were never supposed to be explained in a sentence or understood in a glance. You are chaos. You are poetry. You are contradiction. And that is your power. People fear what they can't control, and they hate what they can't define. But you were not born to be loved by everyone. You were born to wake them up, to shake the dust off their sleepy souls. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be felt. Remember that. So stop apologizing for being too much. Stop hiding your fire. Stop dulling your shine to protect their comfort. They don't need to understand you. You were never built for their understanding. You were built for impact, for awakening, for greatness. The ones who matter won't need an explanation, and the ones who demand one never deserve to know you. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them wonder, because the truth is, you were never made to be understood. Yeah, you didn't come from a place of ease. You weren't raised by safety nets or silver spoons. You were raised by the sting of betrayal, the silence of empty rooms, the weight of expectations crushing your spine before you even knew how to stand tall. Life didn't hand you peace. It handed you pieces. And every single day you had to learn how to glue them back together without anyone noticing the crack. But you didn't just survive that fire. You became it. The pain didn't break you, it baptized you. The hurt didn't destroy you. It gave birth to something stronger, something unshakable, something untouchable. People see your strength now and they whisper how. They wonder how someone like you, someone who's been through hell and back, still has the courage to look life in the eye. What they don't realize is You didn't have a choice. You learned how to walk through flames because there was no way around them. You became immune to the burn. And that fire, that's what made you different. It carved you. It molded you. It sharpened every corner of your soul. While others begged for comfort, you learned to find power in pain. While they cried for help, you became your own hero. You were never meant to have it easy. You were meant to be epic. The truth is, comfort doesn't teach. Comfort doesn't grow. Comfort doesn't transform. Fire does. Pressure does. Struggle does. You didn't just go through darkness, you mined diamonds in it. You didn't wait to be rescued, you built the escape route. Every scar you carry isn't just a reminder of pain, it's proof that pain couldn't hold you. They thought the fire would consume you. Instead, it awakened something ancient in you, something primal, something that refuses to quit. And now, you walk differently. There's weight in your steps, not heaviness, but depth. Every move you make comes from a place most people will never reach. You've seen the edge. You've danced with despair. You've tasted defeat and still spit it out with pride. You know what it's like to have nothing and still believe in yourself. You know what it's like to build something from dust and guts. That's why your eyes don't flinch anymore. That's why your voice carries thunder when you whisper. You're not soft. You're seasoned. And every time life tries to hit you again, it realizes you've already been through worse. So when they ask you how you did it, don't say much. Just look them in the eye and smile. 'Cause you know you weren't built in peace. You were forged in chaos. You were built in fire, not in comfort. Now, let's kill that lie right now. You weren't born to be liked. You weren't meant to be soft-spoken, polite, predictable. You weren't placed on this earth to blend in, to keep your head down, to smile when it hurts and nod when you disagree. That's not you. That's the version they tried to create, because you scared them. You shook their comfort zones. You disturbed their still waters just by existing. And instead of embracing your presence, they tried to silence it. But listen to me. Their rejection wasn't a punishment. It was a prophecy. It was proof that you were never ordinary to begin with. See, being liked is easy. Being liked means saying the right things at the right time and the right way to people who don't even matter. It means bending your truth to fit into their comfort. It means being forgettable. But being legendary, that's war. That's pain. That's walking through the fire alone because no one dares follow someone who doesn't seek permission. You weren't made for praise. You were made for impact. You were made to shift energy just by walking into a room. And oh ho, that energy doesn't ask for applause. It commands attention. It stirs the ones still sleeping in their safety and makes them uncomfortable in their illusions. Legends are never celebrated while they breathe. They're questioned, feared, mocked, hated. But that's how you know you're getting close to the edge of something timeless. The people you admire today, the icons, the revolutionaries, the disruptors, they weren't liked, they were resisted, because they refused to make themselves small just to keep others comfortable. And now, their names echo through history. Not because they played nice, but because they played real. You've got that same fire in you. You don't chase applause. You don't seek validation. You're not interested in being part of the crowd because you were born to lead it. You don't water yourself down to be digestible. You stand tall, raw, unapologetic. You speak what others are too afraid to whisper. You live the truth they hide from. And yeah, they won't like that. But who cares? They don't have to. Your legacy isn't written in the opinions of the weak. It's written in the silence that follows your impact. In the hearts you move, in the fear you shake, in the systems you shatter. So let them talk, let them gossip, let them turn their backs. Because you don't need their love. You already have your purpose. And purpose? That's louder than claps. That's deeper than compliments. That's what makes a name eternal. You weren't built to be liked. You were carved to be legendary. Now act like it. Damn right. Enough pretending, enough playing small, enough wearing the mask they gave you, the one that makes you look weak, fragile, breakable. You're not the broken one in the story. You're not the sob story they whisper about in quiet rooms. You're not the cautionary tale they think you are. No, you're the twist in the narrative. You're the plot line that snapped in half and rewrote itself with fire. You're not a victim. You're the storm that came after the suffering. They see you now and think you've always been strong. They watch you move and think it was easy. Oh, they don't know what it cost. They don't know the nights you curled into yourself like a wound. They don't know how many times you screamed into a pillow with your fists clenched so tight your own fingers left bruises. But still, you got up. Still, you faced the world. Still, you smiled when it felt like your soul was ripping in half. You walked through every hell they handed you and never asked for directions. You built your own map. You didn't just survive the storm, you became it. Because that's the thing, isn't it? The world doesn't break you all at once. It does it slowly, piece by piece, and in that slow destruction, you either fall apart or you snap awake. You stopped waiting for someone to fix you. You stopped hoping someone would show up and patch the bleeding. You realized in the most brutal way possible that no one was coming. So you became your own rescue, your own reason, your own rage. And rage, when it's quiet, controlled, and pure, becomes a force nothing can contain. You walk now with power in your chest. You speak with thunder in your throat. You move like the air itself parts for you. Not because you're angry, not because you're loud, but because you've seen too much to stay soft. Pain didn't just change you, it transformed you. It burned away the illusions and left behind someone who doesn't beg, doesn't bend. And they don't know what to do with that, do they? They don't know how to handle someone who doesn't need their sympathy, who doesn't fall into the trap of self-pity, who doesn't wear their trauma like a chain, but carries it like a weapon. You terrify them because you're not just still standing, you're coming forward. You're claiming space. You're rewriting what power looks like. You don't shout, you radiate. You don't fight for attention. You pull it in just by existing. So no, you're not the victim, you never were. You were always the storm. And now that you know that, there's no going back. Ah, the irony of it all. They break you, bruise you, bend you into someone you can't even recognize anymore, and then they ask you to forgive. like it's some kind of magic trick that erases what they did, like the apologies they never gave are enough to patch the soul they shattered. Oh ho, forgiveness? That's a luxury you were never given. And now, you don't owe it to anyone, not anymore. You spent years swallowing your voice just to keep the peace. You silenced your pain so they could stay comfortable. You became the bigger person over and over until there was barely any person left to protect. They told you to forgive, to move on, to let it go. But how do you let go of wounds that never got to heal? How do you forgive ghosts that still haunt your sleep? The truth is, you weren't asking for revenge. You were asking for respect. For someone to say, yeah, we hurt you, and we shouldn't have. But silence was all you got. So you stopped waiting. You stopped wishing. You stopped begging for them to understand how deep the cut really went. And something inside you snapped. Not in a way that made you bitter. No, not that. In a way that made you clear. Clear about who you are. Clear about what you will and won't accept. Clear about the fact that you don't need their approval, their apology, or their forgiveness to breathe freely anymore. You learn to validate your own healing. You realize that not forgiving isn't hate. It's protection. It's a boundary. It's a locked door with a sign that says, "This soul is no longer open for repair," by those who broke it. And still, they'll try to make you feel guilty. They'll say you're hard, that you've changed, that you're holding on to too much. But what they don't understand is this. You're not holding on, you're holding yourself now. You've carried their weight for long enough. You've cried their tears. You've swallowed the poison they poured into your hands and still called it love. Now, you're done drinking. You're done sacrificing your peace for their closure. You're not bitter. You're awake. And when you're awake, you see the difference between healing and self-betrayal. You stop calling silence maturity. You stop calling second chances growth. You stop pretending that forgiveness is the only path forward. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all and keep walking. Not because you've moved on, but because you've moved up. So no, you don't need forgiveness. Not from them, not even from yourself. What you need is space to exist fully, unashamed, unfiltered, unapologetic. What you need is fire. What you need is freedom, and what you are now doesn't ask for forgiveness, it commands respect.